Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Cookiecast. Today on Cookiecast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast, so I'm afraid, as always, you're stuck with me for the day. So, I'm sure there'll be a little bit of moaning about something. If you're lucky, there might be some movies and games chat. And, let's see what this one's all about, shall we? So here we go, this is Cookiecast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Right then. Oh, same old. You know something? I often think I should probably sit down first, line the microphones up, then get up and press record. Maybe it's like an intro though. Maybe it's like the intro to the Darkest Timeline podcast, which is what this is. Hello. It's Cookiecast, Darkest Timeline podcast. I'm your host, Cookie. I'm joined today by increasingly more stuff in this room. I feel like the house is closing in on me at the moment. It's still summer, which by the time you hear this it might not be. I will warn you, the window is open, and I'm pretty much sure that there's like children playing out in the garden. It's sort of mid-evening at the moment, so you know, it's summer, school holidays, all of that, so you'll have to excuse any ambient noise. Speaking of which, I did loads of podcast covering over the weekend. I've had no internet for a week and a half, which I'll come on to later, and I had the opportunity to spend the weekend just doing podcasts, which I did. It was good to get that done. But there was a podcast I did that was me, Paul and James, I think. And that freaking bird. Anybody who listens to the podcast regularly will know that for a while we had this bird issue. There was just this bird who early evening would like literally sit outside the window and just tweet. It was that bad that whilst I was coding the podcast, the cats kept coming and looking out the window because they thought the bird was out there. So yeah, unfortunately for the listener, that's not going to be a lot of fun. You'll be happy to hear I've got 2 drinks this evening. Something I did want to go through. Got a little glass here with some dark liquid in. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, it is not whiskey. It is something that I've recently got into, which I feel a little bit about, but you know, it's one of them. It's hot outside. Last thing you want is a hot coffee. So it's cold coffee, which I've only recently got into. Very much wasn't a fan of the idea, but then recently was trying to cut down my coffee intake, which in my head is hot coffee, which meant it was okay to drink cold coffee, because I'd never had it before. Got these like little Starbucks macchiato things, caramel macchiatos. They're super nice and they were on offer, so I've been like pounding those. Nowhere near the equivalent of what I had been drinking. But let's have a little taste of this guy. This isn't a macchiato. This is a mocha, a cold mocha. Let me just. It's kind of nice. You can tell it's a mocha. You can't really tell it's a coffee. A little bit of bitterness. It's a bit like chocolate milk, that, to be honest. And I've got some juice, so I'm sure you'll be treated to me chugging away on that juice. That was another thing about coding those podcasts. I coded a couple of these podcasts, and the points where I'm like, oh, I'll just have a drink, it's like, wow, could do to mute that. But I like the raw, the fresh sort of feel. Having said that, I did edit one of my podcasts recently. I took an entire section out. Firstly, because the podcast was quite long. It was like nearly an hour and 20 minutes, which an hour and 20 minutes of me talking is probably a bit much for most people. But one of the subject matters I'd covered, when I went back and listened to it again, I was like, I don't know if I want to cover that. So I just edited it out. And listening back, it was pretty much seamless. more podcast news. And this is just stuff that's going whirling around in my brain. Where we are now, we're a couple of days away from one of the regular podcasts kicking off again, which is the football, because football starts on Friday. So anybody that listens to the football podcast, don't worry, that's coming back soon, a lot sooner than you'll hear this, randomly. And super, super exciting for me. The NFL season starts real soon. So I think the friendlies are like this week, the pre-season friendlies. So that is super exciting. Need to lock in like all the drafts for the fantasy leagues and decide when we're going to podcast again. Because the football kind of took over from the NFL. So yeah, that was just a bit of a brain dump. If I'm honest, this is one of those situations where I haven't done a podcast I didn't do a podcast last week. Like I said, summer holidays. So I had the girls and we were going and doing like days out and like busy days and things like that. So there was a lot of going to bed, basically. It was like, get the girls to bed, go to bed. So that was kind of that. As it is, managed to make 2 lists. So between you and me, I'm actually going to do 2 podcasts, pretty much back to back, depending on the time. You don't need to know that because you'll never know that information. I just thought I'd be a little bit honest with you, tell you the truth. So I've split my list into 2. As that actually is the way I've written the list, what it means is that you guys listening to this podcast are going to get all the juicy stuff. So you're going to get games, movies, random sort of stuff that's happened in the last week and a bit. And then when you listen to the next one of these, you'll get all the me ranting about stuff, basically. So yeah, let's crack on, jump to the list. Had a conversation with Thomas Quinn the other day. We were talking about just random stuff, and I don't even know how it came up, but we were saying about words and the word llama, and I was saying, what possible reason does it serve that the word llama starts double L? I'm quite badly dyslexic, so stuff like that, like, it just mushes my brain. Like llama, like double L, A-M-A, I think, don't know. And it's like, what does the extra L do to that word? Surely L-A-M-A is still llama. You know, as a dyslexic, I might want to put an R in it there, maybe. But the double L, what exactly is that covering off on that word? Answer on a postcard, comment in the comment section, or drop me an email and let me know, if you know. Being dyslexic, anybody who's not dyslexic, have you ever looked at the word dyslexia and thought about how that is to spell for someone who's dyslexic? Because it makes no. I've written that one down as well. D-Y-S-L-E-X-I-A. But for a dyslexic person, I imagine, for me personally being a dyslexic, it would be spelt probably D-I-S-S. I suppose it's just that Y. It's the Y that throws everything. Again, not sure what that does for the word. Definitely should be an I. So yeah, there we go. This is split. There's like basically there's a game section early on, then there's a movie section, then there's a game section, then there's a couple of other bits, and we'll finish up nicely. I'm gonna hit this mocker. I wish I'd have made note of comes in a big brown bottle. Something that we were looking at in Sainsbury's yesterday was that the price of the Starbucks caramel macchiatos. Jesus Christ, listen to all this product placement. The price of those has gone up in Sainsbury's. Luckily for me today, they were still £1 in Asda. So while we were in Sainsbury's, we found this like big brown bottle of like mocha coffee, but it's cold. And worked. It was like £2 for 770 millilitres, whereas the little Starbucks things are. Well, they Sainsbury's wanted £1.75 for 220 mils, so that one's a no-brainer. I'm going to hit this again and see what the second taste is like. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. The thing with these cold things is I think they're quite deceptive. I'd love to know how much coffee is actually in this and is in those macchiatos. Because I think the only thing about it is when you're drinking a cup of coffee, you know you're drinking a cup of coffee. I got up early today to go to work early so that I could do like a good stretch today, get a good few hours in, so that I could leave more later in the week at reasonable times, so I can get home to see the child. And this morning I was just beyond tired. It was really, really bad. That ties into something I'll talk about later. But yeah. So in the end, I had to get the emergency coffee out of my locker. The reason it's triple emergency coffee is it's god awful. It is on the list of worst cup of coffee you'll ever taste. And I made a cup of that having secured some sugar. I was like, maybe I can kill the taste of this coffee with some sugar. Also get a bit of a sugar pep off the back of it. It just about worked, but it was... Yeah, it was disgusting. The sugar didn't help, but it did perk me up a bit. Right, I'm going to finish this because that's the other thing. I find they go warm quickly, and then weirdly don't taste very nice. So yeah, here, let me just finish this. I'd have another one of those. Like I say, don't know what effect they have coffee wise, but I just wanted to try it. I don't generally drink coffee on an evening, but I thought give it a little go and see what that's like. Anyway, enough about that. Let's talk. Right, so it's Monday today. I didn't do a podcast last week, as I've already explained. Week before, the internet went down. I'm not going to talk about that now. I'll talk about it later. That's just a side note, because I ended up doing some overtime on Friday. I was going to start working in the morning from home, work all day, have a couple of hours off, go get a coffee, all of that, get a good few hours of overtime done. Sweet as a nut. Could certainly use the money at the moment, so it was quite fortuitous that the overtime was on. It was like film with boots. This all was dependent on the internet being fixed, which went down on Wednesday. No surprises, the internet was not fixed. An engineer was supposed to come Friday morning, they didn't. So I'm like, well, as Sam would always say, if you want the overtime, you're going to have to come into the office. So got sorted, packed up, took a lunch, and went to the office. Got to the office, everyone's like, you don't work on a Friday, what are you doing here? I was like, just ignore me, pretend I'm not here. The head of my department, Rich, we've been talking recently about this VR thing. So I want to get it right. It's the Oculus Rift. Is it the Oculus Rift? I want to get it right, and I'm now like, I don't know what I'm talking about. No, I'm lying. Oculus Quest. So this is one of those. I saw a trailer for the Oculus Quest about a month ago, and I was like, what is that? Again, anybody who's a reasonable fan of the podcast will know that we did a Techiecast at one point, and we did a VR. It was a VR. It had VR in it. So I've played VR at Ed's. One of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. Super immersive. It was. I was proper like, I need this in my life. Played this Robo Recall or something. It's a game where you shoot robots. But it was just lots and lots of fun. Unfortunately, at that time, I priced it up, and I would need to put a graphics card in my base unit. My base unit doesn't have a graphics card because podcast coding, video editing and all that doesn't actually require a graphics card. At the time, Sam was sort of putting all the stuff together to build this computer. It was like, at the end of the day, it's, £600, £700, £1,000 you don't need to spend if you don't need it. So don't get one. It's like, cool. So I think initially it was about £650 for a graphics card. And then the Oculus would have been, I think it's about £1,000. I was looking at about £2,000 to get the setup that Ed had. You would need a decent amount of space. I've kind of got the space where the computer is. I'd have to sort of move things around a little and just be aware of the surroundings. But I've got the space. So that was kind of that. I did look at the PS VR. But if I'm honest, it's had bad reviews, and you need a lot of additional things. So you need to get the VR kit, which comes with the camera and headset, but then you need the Move controllers. If you want to play the shooting game, you don't need, but it's good to have like the gun attachment thing, and so on and so forth. I heard that the quality is really low, and the headset thing is quite uncomfortable to wear. All of which added up to me going, I don't think I need that in my life. Plus, the game that had sold me on this VR thing was this Robo Recall thing. And I presume the PlayStation doesn't have that. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, I kind of put it to bed whilst simultaneously being like, oh, I wonder if I can go around to Ed's and play some VR. One of the first sort of things that I've been like quite into but not got super obsessed about. Talked about it for quite a couple of weeks or something. Oh, the VR was really cool, but there was a lot of but. And I have to be a bit more responsible these days, especially money wise. You can't go out and spend £2,000 on something that you might not overly use. So, by now, I'll have told you about the going to Ed's house experience, breaking the chair. That was not fun. Whilst I was there, I was saying, hey Ed, so I'm jumping ahead. I saw a trailer at one point for this Oculus Quest. So there was a person playing it, and I recognised the headset and I recognised the hand things. But the big selling point of this trailer was that was it. It was a headset, and it was the controllers, and nothing else. There was no wires, there was no computer. Apparently, all self-contained. And I'm like, what is this? I was like, I know a man who to ask about this is Lord and Master Edward Dench. So, jump forward to when I went to Ed's house. Ed, I saw a trailer for the Oculus Quest. And he was like, oh yeah. I was like, yeah. What's the deal with that? Because, is it right that it's self-contained? Yep, you don't need anything. It runs off an app on your phone. You buy things through that. It's got these sensors in. It's all self-contained. I was like, all right, okay. He was like, also, there's this big price difference. So I had a look, and there's a 64 gig version for I think it's £400. There's a double the size 128 gig version for £500. I was like, that's crazy, that's insane. Ed's like, speak to Rich about it. Rich has got the Quest. I was like, really? It's like, yeah, have a word with him. It's portable, so he might bring it in for you to have a go on. I'm like, oh, wow, that's... I'll definitely have a word with him. So a few days later, I saw Rich in the office. I was like, he'd speak to you. He was like, ooh, what is it? I was like, little birdie tells me that you've got the Oculus Quest. He's like, yeah, I've got that. So we talked about it, talked about like price and stuff, talked about how that sort of is a game changer for the VR market. It's making it more affordable for more people, which is the one thing that VR needed to do. I'm like, oh man, this is really interesting. It sounds really good to me and all this. He was like, tell you what, it's fairly portable. I'll bring it in one day. We'll have a go. I'm like, that'd be amazing, because I'm a kind of, I'd like to have a try before I buy kind of guy. So that was a few weeks ago now. That was kind of the end of that. So, not Friday gone, Friday before, I had to go to work. Got to work. I can't remember if Ed mentioned something first or if I just bumped into Rich. But basically, it's, Rich has brought the Oculus in. I was like, whoa. Spoke to Rich, he's like, look, it's here. Look, this is the headset, this is this. I've booked out the... like a big room that we have at work. I've booked that out at lunchtime, so I can have a go. Come along if you want. Like, yeah, definitely have a slice of that. So, lunchtime came round, went off to the big room that we've got, went in. Obviously, Rich has a go. He's playing away. He was trying to work out how to restart this Star Wars game that he's got on it. So it's like, oh, okay. So then Ed had a go, Sam had a go, and then I had a go. So the thing that they were doing was this, it's like a training room. Like you get a lightsaber and you robots attack you and you have to fight back. Just a little like a mini game, sort of learn the ropes kind of thing. I think there was like a high score system, that sort of stuff. I had to go on that. I put it on. When Ed had been wearing it, he was like, oh man, I could see he was looking at like the hands when he had it on. It's like, oh, you can really see the texture of the leather, and there's not really, because apparently this thing's downgraded to make it more self-contained, more portable and stuff. You can really see it. Oh, it's not really downgraded all that much. So when I put it on, I did the same. I was looking at the hand and I was like, wow, you can like see the pattern of the leather. It looks quite realistic. I had to go on the lightsaber thing. That was cool. Took it off, gave it back, sort of thing. Rich was talking to Ed about how to restart this game. I think between them they worked out how to restart the game. So Richard put like the first level of this game on. He was playing it. And then he was like, here, come here and have a go on this. This is like the game. I was like, all right, cool. And again, this is one of those where I put the headset on, I grabbed all the glove, the hand things, and this is to me, this is like where gaming should be going. It's super immersive. They've taken away the earphones, and the sound is just in the headset that you put on like over your head. Which I initially thought, oh, well, the sound will be rubbish. But the sound is so good. It's like 3D sound sort of thing. So when you've got it on, you don't need earphones. And there's a jack you can plug earphones in. So I was like, the sound's awesome. It's really immersive. I mean, I think it's one of those things. It's not the best graphics you're ever going to see. But because it's right in front of your face, it's kind of like it doesn't matter. So you've got this like I say, this really immersive experience. The game was Star Wars, so you're on a ship, and there's a point where the robot's like, here, flick this switch, and you literally just move your hand near the switch, and it flicks the switch like as if you were flicking a switch. There's a bit where you have to put the ship into hyperdrive, so you have to grab hold of like a stick and push it forward. Like on the VR stuff, you have like a grabbing button. That comes in handy for a lot of games from what I've seen. But super immersive, like going through hyperspace was cool. There's a bit where the robot's like, oh, walk around the ship and do these things, and you have to turn a dial and this, that, and the other, and then you end up getting taken to it's like a lava planet. So there's all lava everywhere, and TIE fighters are flying past. And I was looking up, and I was like, man, you can see like the frost on the glass of the ship. And then the robot's like telling you to do stuff. And then the doors of the ship get blown in, and you feel like it. Obviously, you can't feel it, but it's like, whoa, because it's right in your face. And then these stormtroopers come running in, and they run right up to you, and you can see like the helmets and the guns and stuff. And then this guy comes in, and when he talks to you, he talks like an inch in front of your face. And it's proper like... He was like half man, half metal face, and it was proper scary because of not quite how realistic it was, but how intense it was. It was right in your face, and I felt myself pulling back, and just super fun experience. That's my second, third stroke VR experience, and I'm loving what VR is putting down. That Robo Recall, I could play that all day. That was loads of fun. This Star Wars thing, I looked it up, and it's like it's only supposed to be like a couple of hours or something, 2 or 3 hours. But then you've got the lightsaber mini game thing. Loads of fun. And as I keep saying, and I keep going back to, that's what's missing from games at this point in time. And I really hope that because this invention, this self-contained VR, is going to make VR more possible for people, I really hope that this could turn a corner for the VR industry. Because it's just lots of fun. I was a bit like, if somebody lets me have a go on something, I'm a bit like, I'll have a little go and then I'll give it back, because I don't want to be like hogging it. But I just wanted to like go back and go, oh, can I have another go? Or, oh, let's have another go. Or, oh, what are you doing later? Let's play it again, sort of thing. And I didn't, but I wanted to. So that's loads of fun. 400 quid is the sort of region it's just more affordable. Not for me, I can't afford 400 quid right now. Certainly not £500. And apparently that additional storage doesn't really matter, because you can just take things off and put things on using this app, from what I'm told. So yeah, VR is exciting. It's looking good. It's looking like a lot of fun. I'm very excited to see what's coming further down the line for VR. So, I wrote on my list, I'm looking at my list now, and I wrote on my list, Ghost Recon. Is anybody surprised by that at this point in time? When I came to start like setting up for the podcast and stuff, and reading through my list, I was like, why have I written Ghost Recon? What's that all about? I was like, maybe I don't need to talk about it. Maybe there's nothing to talk about. I haven't played it recently. I've been playing like other stuff. But as I sat down to start recording, I remembered why I'd written Ghost Recon. So Breakpoint is due out, I think it's like October of this year. There's been another alpha or something this weekend. I've signed up for the beta, so I don't know if it was the beta or if I've just missed it. Might have been another alpha. Apparently they've completely changed it. They've listened to the community. They've completely changed it. And it's a lot better than it was. That's good to hear. Still not sure how I feel about it as a game. I'd certainly like to have a go on it. But I'll leave that for now. The reason I've written Ghost Recon was that because Breakpoint's coming out, they've announced this thing in the last couple of weeks, where they were doing the last ever update for Wildlands. And they've added this, now it is a multiplayer thing. It's an 8-man, last man standing multiplayer thing. It sounded interesting, I'm not going to lie. And this comes from a man that doesn't do multiplayer. But it's just the fact that after all these years, these few years, they've still been updating it. You know, they've put so much into that game. Predator Mission, Sam Fisher, the Ghost Recon Future Soldier, the intro for the Breakpoint stuff, Rainbow Six, all sorts of stuff. One of my guys runs around in an Assassin's Creed outfit. There's so much stuff in that game, and there's the fact that they were still producing stuff. A week ago or something, they did an announcement trailer. They talked about what it was. JK said he'd had a go on it and that it was quite good. Like I say, I haven't played it. It did sound interesting, but I do, as you will know, tend to shy away from the multiplayer stuff. But yeah, it's kind of a nice way to send that game out. Just sort of like a final update before what they obviously consider as the end of this game. I'm not sure I agree. As it stands at the moment, I don't like the sound of Breakpoint. As it stands at the moment, if you gave me the option of playing Breakpoint, yes, I would certainly play it to find out what it's like. But I'm definitely still leaning towards Wildlands. I hope that changes. I hope my opinion changes. I did say if the game stayed as it was after the alpha, I certainly wouldn't be buying it. As it stands now, I'm more interested, but I'm still erring on the side of I don't know if I'm going to get it. Short version is I'm waiting for the beta. I need to play it before I can make a decision. I need to see some reviews, maybe. Drink break. Glug, glug, glug. Oh, bloody hell, that's strong. Ooh, you know when you got a little bit too much juice in your juice. Oh, wow. So that was Ghost Recon. I have watched some films. Now, again, this is it's kind of like it's from 2 weeks ago. But I have watched some films. Again, I'll come to where I've been watching those films shortly, but let's talk about the films. So, when the little one was born, I just watched movies. I took the night shift. Liam would go off to bed. About 8 o'clock or something. Sometimes a bit later. And I would just stay up with the baby until the wee small hours of the morning. I'd take the baby, give it to Leanne, and I'd go off to bed. So I took the night shift. The way I got through the night shift was hammering movies. I've learned from experience, you can't always play computer games when you're holding a baby because controllers shake and you move and stuff like that wakes up a baby. So the best thing to do is just lie still, or sit still, should I say. And then you need something to distract you. You're not asleep, you're the one that's awake, you need something to keep you occupied. Movies was the answer. I went through so many films. It was insane. Got to the point where I was like, what do I want to watch? Like, what do I fancy watching? And there was a film that I own on DVD. I tend not to go back and watch DVDs. I've got the 4K setup. I've got Blu-ray, both upstairs and downstairs. And like I say, 4K. I'm a little bit of a snob with it. In a pinch, yes, I'll watch a DVD. But because I'm trying to reduce my DVD collection, what I would rather do is re-buy something on Blu-ray and then get rid of the DVD. So, take from this what you will, but there was a point in time where I really fancied watching the film Wanted. The James McAvoy, what's her name? Angelina Jolie, Morgan Freeman. I imagine if you know what it is, you know what it is. I imagine if you don't know what it is, you're not overly bothered. Based on a comic book. There was a game which I owned and played. Quite enjoyed the game. The movie is one of those that it falls into the category of it's probably a bad film, but I quite like it because I like that kind of bad movie. I like the sort of a nobody becomes a somebody sort of stories, that sort of thing. So I put it in my basket because it was really cheap on Amazon on Blu-ray, even though I own it on DVD. But this was towards the back end, sort of before I went back to work. Went back to work, didn't really give it too much more thought. So, not wanting to ruin the last part of the podcast, there's been a couple of points where I've been in a position to watch some movies, mostly on Netflix. So, I'm like, right, what's Netflix got for us? What has it got to offer? Scrolling through. Oh! Wanted is on Netflix. Well, there we go. That's clearly a sign. So I put Wanted on. A film I've seen multiple times. So I watched that. I enjoy it. It's a film I enjoy. I can't get away from that. You know, I don't think you can help the things you like. I am aware I like a certain type of what I'm sure would be considered crap film or shit film. I love a good shit film. I watched that. It took me 2 or 3 days or something, but I watched it. It was a good distraction from what I was doing at the time, and yeah, I enjoyed that. So got back into watching a movie. So once I'd finished Wanted, I was like, oh, I need something else. Scrolling through Netflix. I saw something as I was scrolling through. I was like, that's a film that I haven't seen, that I probably should have seen, but I haven't seen it. Am I going to watch it now? Possibly. Scrolling. I'm like, I've seen something that I probably should watch. I've not seen it. It's a film I haven't seen. It's a film that I think is probably one I should have seen. So, let's give that a go. So, I finally, having never seen it originally, watched Van Helsing. Oh, dear me. I could have saved myself the trouble on that one. I mean, wow. That film has to be a prime example of what terrible acting is. It was awful, that film. I honestly thought that it had like reasonable reviews when it came out, and I imagine it's been out a while. I don't know at which point in Hugh Jackman's career he did this. Was this before X-Men? Was this after he'd done the first X-Men? Obviously I can look it up, but that's not the point. I don't know which point in his career it was, whether this launched him or what. Also, in the situation I was in, I didn't have the sound on. I had subtitles on. But I can't imagine the sound would have made it any better. It was terrible. The guy that plays Dracula, oh God, I couldn't stand to look at him. Oh, it was draining as an experience. And yeah, I could have turned it off. And I didn't. I watched it all. Again, took me a few days. But my word. Oh, excuse me. I don't think that coffee's worked too well. Yeah, if you haven't seen Van Helsing, I thoroughly recommend you keep it that way. I'm just thinking what else I've watched, but that more this week that I've watched other stuff. So let's go back and have a look. No, not you. This you. that was Van Helsing. Yeah, has to go down on the list of possibly one of the worst films I've ever seen. I have no interest in seeing it again. The guy that played Dracula was unbearable. The woman in it was... I mean, I don't even know what to say. It was awful. So yeah, that was that. So, let's talk some games. Recently, I had a bit of a thing. So, a little while ago, I saw a thing about there was a free update for Spider-Man on the PS4. Me being me, love a free update. And it was 2 costumes from the new movie, Spider-Man Far From Home. There's the new suit that he makes. Excuse me, that coffee definitely didn't do anything. Maybe it's got no coffee in it. Maybe it's just like a flavour. Oh my god. And then there's like what I would call the Spider-Man Noir suit, but I think they're calling it like a stealth suit or something. So I was like, cool. First job, install Spider-Man. Second job, download the suits. I was like, kind of maybe fancy having a bit of a play on Spider-Man. So that was that. Whilst I was looking in my pile of games, I also saw Ace Combat. Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. I was like, oh yeah, I quite fancy having a go on that as well. I was like, I tell you what, I think I was still playing Ghost Recon on the Xbox at that point. I was like, well, I'll install these games and I'll get around to playing them. I'll do them all now. I got Rory McIlroy, so I was playing that. Quite enjoying playing that once I'd worked out how to play full rounds of golf. And once I managed to get my swing as a proper swing. Jesus, exhausted. So, Spider-Man. Downloaded, reinstalled it. With any game like that, when you reinstall it, it's like, oh, here you go, there's the game, the disc is installed, now you need 10 gig of update. Great. Okay, so I'll leave that for the next 3 hours, shall I? Anyway, that was that. Ace Combat, got that installed. So I played Spider-Man for a few days. The one thing I found about Spider-Man when I first played it was I knew quite early on that it didn't really have any replayability, even though it very early on got a new game plus added. It just, there are certain games that you play it, you give it your all, and then when you finish it, it's like, I don't need to go back to that game, even though it was fantastic. There was another fact about that game, that there was sections in that game that I really disliked. I've said it before, the last thing I want when playing a Spider-Man game is to play as MJ. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to play a Spider-Man game to spend your time playing as MJ. Do you want to play as Miles Morales, but Miles Morales before he gets powers? No, you don't. I really disliked those sections of that game. I really wish they hadn't been in there. It's another thing, because you're playing it again, but you can't skip those bits. They are awful additions to that game. When I initially reviewed it, I was like, Spider-Man's great, but it's not. It's not what everyone tells you it is. They have selective memory around that game. Oh, it's great, it's the best game ever. Yeah, but what about all the bits that are really awful? Ace Combat, that's a great game. I love Ace Combat games. I love those sort of... They're not flight simulators, but they're like aerial combat simulators, I think. I love that sort of game. Played it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Played it, finished it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Started it again straight away, but I think I was like, don't think I want to play this right now. Going back to that's been a lot of fun. I'm trying to save up to buy like one of the last planes in the game, because it looks like one of the planes from Macros Plus. I'm pretty sure it's got the same numbers as well. I think it's like the YF23. So yeah, that I imagine it will be nothing like the one from Macros Plus. But still, looks the little diagram of it looks cool. So we'll have a look at that once we get that. Yeah, I've been playing some Rory, playing a bit of golf. Like I say, once I sort of got my eye in, as they say. Once I got that sorted, then yeah, that was a lot more fun. Yeah, it is what it is. It turns out it's like 4 years old, that game. Like the what you're playing is 2015. It's like, wow. But yeah, it's good for a knock around. So yeah, that's games. So I've already mentioned this. Again, it's Monday today. Didn't do a podcast last week, so this is last week's podcast. Wednesday from the week before, no internet. Great. Here we go. Thursday, no internet. We said to people recently, one of those things is that you don't realise a service that you provided until that service isn't there. And you often don't realise how bad a service you get until you're not getting it. So, the internet came back Friday evening. So that was like 10 days or something, no internet. In that time, are you ready for this? In that time, BT sent me a mini hub because of the type of customer I am. I've got this always connected thing. So if your home internet goes down, they'll send you a mini hub, which means that you can still get on the internet. Barely. So the mini hub was kicking out 1 meg of internet. Barely enough to power a internet connected toaster. Certainly not powerful enough to run my work laptop. Barely powerful enough to run the TV thing, the TV box that Leon watches. It doesn't register as internet in 85% of situations. Then connect my phone to it because I didn't want to knock it out so that Leon can watch the TV. So they sent that. They were supposed to send an engineer on Friday. No engineer came. And I'm pretty sure that might have been the first point in time where they turned the mini hub off. No, at which point did an engineer come? So an engineer came, tested the line, tested the equipment. My equipment works, your equipment doesn't. Changed the hubs over to a new hub. No, that's still no good. He left. He went away. I need to send another engineer, a specialist engineer. Specialist engineer came. Right, okay, you need the hub and the modem in one, so we need to get you one of those. Also, this phone line here, it's probably not up to scratch, so I can move your phone line for you. So it's the other side of the house. Come in directly in, put a new box on, all that, all paid for by BT. By the way, can't fix your broadband. What do you mean you can't fix broadband? Oh, I don't know if I'm authorised to do that bit. You're here to fix the broadband, mate. All the rest of the stuff you've said, I don't really give a shit about. Great if it's all free, but you're here to fix the broadband. Oh, let me make a phone call. You do that. So he moved without coming back to me. He moved the box, which seems to take forever, and then left. Like, cool, no internet. Contacted BT. They're like, use your mobile data because we can't do anything about the mini hub being turned off. Like, what? They're like, yeah, we would just send you another one. It literally says in the box, keep hold of the hub. If your internet goes down in the future, we'll reactivate this. This is yours to keep. Why would you send me a new one? Oh, that's just what we do. There was another point in time an engineer was supposed to come. Engineer didn't come. Thursday, I think it was. Thursday. morning maybe. Engineer was supposed to come, didn't come. Shocker. So this is now a week and a bit, no internet. Great. Friday. There's been various points where I'd spoken to someone, they were going to turn the hub back on, they didn't. Spoke to somebody who told me that he was going to take personal ownership of the fact that the internet was down and definitely get it sorted. He was definitely going to ring me back the next day. Never heard from him again. Friday. Guy came in the afternoon. Right. How did all the other engineers manage to get away with not fixing this? They gave various different reasons. He did a load of stuff. He went away to the box, came back later. Oh no, I'm waiting for this phone call. Are you in tomorrow? I'm going to come back tomorrow. Yeah, we're in tomorrow. Alright then. He went away. 5 minutes later he came back. He was like, the phone call that I needed, that I didn't think I was getting today. I've got him on now. Let me come through. So he came in, did a few things, changed the cable, changed the hub, changed this, that and the other. Next thing, internet. So 10 days, no internet. Some of the worst possible service ever. To eventually get the internet back. Missed out on multiple days of work. Multiple bits of overtime. So, time and a half. All of that. And the fact that I was without internet for 10 days, used over half my mobile data. I get a shed load of mobile data. Used over half of that. Terrible service. So can you imagine what the complaint on this one's going to look like? I mean, at which point are they going to be like, yeah, we really didn't deliver on our promise? So they kept going on about all these promises. We're not fulfilling our promise. It's like, you're damn fucking right you're not fulfilling your promise. Sort your shit out and get me some internet. So yeah, anyway, when you're a bit like, I'll sort all that out, but right now I'm just glad I've got the internet back. You just don't understand how much you need it for things until you don't have it. You can't turn your computer on, you can't play games on your console because they need to update, and without the update you can't play them. You can't watch TV, you can't watch Netflix, you can't do this, you can't do that. There was a point where I was hotspotting my phone to the Now TV box so that Leanne could watch TV. And then at one point it decided it didn't want to do that anymore. Non-stop. Every day there was something. I've used the live chat feature on the BT app about 25, 30 times in 10 days. Multiple times a day going through to them, talking to people. Multiple phone calls. Multiple people telling me they were going to get it sorted and they didn't. So yeah, that was the no internet hell. No internet for 10 days hell. Very much aware it's a first world problem. But hey. So, me and Lan have been doing no carbs for... Is this the third week of no carbs? We did have a cheat day. It was our anniversary. And we took all the girls out for tea. And we went to Pizza Hut, because Pizza Hut's a place that we know we can kind of... everybody can find something to eat. It's one of those things that there are certain places we can go, certain places we can't go, so that people will eat things. Both of the older girls love Hump It. And I found out that they will eat in Pizza Hut. We hadn't had any carbs for, I think it was like 10 days at that point. But we treated ourselves. We took everyone to Pizza Hut. So that was that. But the same week that I started on the no carbs, no carbs is this thing. Lan, like a load of Lan's family are doing this no carb thing, and they've all lost loads of weight and they all look really good. And she immediately is like, well, we have to do it because it works. It's something that clearly works. I know there's a lot of stuff behind it. It apparently works for a lot of people. I'm a bit of a balanced diet kind of guy. I believe you need each of these things. You need fat, no matter what any sugar company tells you. You need fat in your diet. You need carbs. Carbs are your energy. Carbs are your fuel. That's what you burn. You need protein. Protein's a big one, especially for a vegetarian. It's harder to get. You can't just eat like a chicken. But I'm always prepared to try stuff. If I'm honest, like I say, I think this is like week 3 or something. I'm not really seeing any major benefits more than I was. Because as I think you'll know by now, I was cutting down on everything. I cut chocolate and sweet stuff out of my diet because that was like my first change. That went reasonably well. I haven't a couple of the car journeys. There's been like, oh, let's have a sweet. I had one car journey driving back. I was proper flagging. I was like, let's have a sweet. But other than that, it's not like the level that I was. Let's have a bag of chocolate. So I can't say I'm seeing the benefits. But for me personally, the thing that I'm really enjoying is the clean eating. My meals are like veg, like my tea's a salad. What I like with the fact that we're doing this no carbs thing is you can have like salad, but we'll have a little bit of cheese, things like that, because it's a good fat and it's okay to have it with salad. I have like good proteins. I had some like corn strips last night. They're nice. I've been eating nuts and raisins, and I'm into dried apricots at the moment, and fruit. There's a lot of fruit which I'd like to cut down on because fruit is sugar. At this point in time, I'm struggling to I'm pretty sure the last one of these I told you that I'd gone back to the gym. I'm pleased to report that I have continued going to the gym. There is a caveat there, which is a double caveat. Caveat is, I didn't go to the gym last week. Because there just wasn't the time. Like I say, there was a lot of going to bed early. There was a lot of we had day trips. We had like very busy days last week. There just wasn't the time to go to the gym. So I'm like, how can I get around this? Now, the gym for me at the moment is very, very different to what it used to be, because the purpose of this is to shift weight. And unfortunately for me, lifting weights isn't going to do that as well as cardio. So I've had to literally flip my gym going. So now I do like 10, 15, 20 minutes of light weights. Although last night that was a little different. I was proper lifting weights last night. Just a little bit at the end. I was getting the bug. So that was a little bit of light weights and then a little bit of heavier weights. I'm just been doing arms really. I'm going to branch out a bit more once I've got the cardio under control. Once I can do a bit more about the weight. But like last night, for example, I took a picture of of what I'd done. Don't laugh, because I am slowly just starting to get back into it. So I did 50 minutes on the treadmill, 50 minutes and 19 seconds, which was 4.4k. It's not loads, it's not a lot. I burned 472 calories, if you need to know that bit. I'm not breaking any records, but I did 50 minutes on a treadmill. Some of it was walking. I'm not going to tell you it wasn't, but there was a fair chunk of it was running. I would say half of it was running. I keep saying to people that I'm in training. I just don't say what I'm in training for. And in a little while, in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to reveal more on that one. But at this point in time, I went back to the gym and I stayed going back to the gym. Last week, no gym. However, to get round this, I said to Emma, right, me and you, we're getting out and we're going running. So a couple of days last week, we got out for a run. And that was really nice. I really enjoyed that. It was just a mile, just round the block. I was super impressed with how she kept pace with me. We had like little breaks here and there, and she just did really well. I was super impressed. So yeah, still managed to get out, still managed to get some exercise. Barring that, the days out, the day trips were like, oh, we've done 9k today walking around. Oh, we've done 5 or 6k today. It wasn't like I was sat around doing nothing. The days that we didn't run, we were still putting the boot to the ground and doing it. I've been to the gym. So Monday today, I consider the week starts on a Sunday. I went to the gym Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to end this podcast shortly and I'm going to go and have something to eat. I'm going to come back and record the second podcast, which will probably take me pretty much up to time to go to the gym. I'm going to the gym this evening, and yeah, I'm back to the gym. Like I say, I'm in quote unquote in training, and yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, not enjoying it, but no, it's weird. I kind of am enjoying it. The running stuff, I feel like I just need to break through some kind of barrier or something. But yeah, I am officially in training. I just want to get back to lifting big heavy weights, but I don't feel that that's the right thing at this time, so I'm leaving it for now. So yeah, for all those weeks of me going, I haven't been to the gym, I'll let you know if I do. I haven't managed to cut down on my eating. Now I'm where I should be in a lot of ways. Just need to bring it up to scratch. Keep going to the gym. Keep putting the boot to the ground. Keep running. Get the stamina up. Get the distance up. Get towards my goal. And then once I hit that goal, I just need to maintain the running, and I can start then getting back to lifting the big heavy weights. So that is basically that for this episode, this week, this month, depending on the release schedule of these. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to me ramble on, and I'll no doubt see you or speak to you next time. I won't say next week because it probably won't be. But yes, thank you very much. And I'll say bye. So there you go. What do you think of that? Another week in the bag, another week gone, another Darkest Timeline podcast done. YouTube watchers, make sure you're subscribing, clicking for notifications, drop us comments, things like that. Everybody jump over to the Cookiecast.com, send us some social media love, drop us an email. Why don't you tell us if you're going to come on and be a Darkest Timeline guest? Have you got something to moan about, or do you want to talk some games and movies? Let me know. So until next week, I'll say bye for now, and I'll see you then. Bye!